Okay, everyone. Wake up or I'm going to spank you with my ruler over here. My yardstick. Oh, it's my pointer, really, more than anything. What I do with this is you notice you can see all that marker stuff on it. And if you can tell, what I do is I mark these four squares that are 3.25, 3.25, 3.25, 3.25, 3.25, all the way across. And then I connect those four squares with this line that goes from 29.25 to 45.50 that way. And then I take the yardstick.
So these are degrees, latitude, and
Uh-huh.
longitude. Okay.
And if you notice that 25 here with the four squares is the same as the 29.25 here with four squares.
Okay, so that's
So
the
that,
latitude.
that,
Okay.
that numbers are all the same. That,
Okay, so you're going up
that.
by degrees.
By
Okay.
3.25.
All right.
Basically.
And the 3.25 is based on sacred numbers, which you can find in another, the explanation about in another video if they follow you.
So the 3.25 is that pi that I've been referring to for long distance global travel. When you're going over open sea where you have no islands or land you're going to bump into, then you could do this 3.25 long distance global travel where you can go longer distances and still find your locations. Because you don't need to stop anywhere, in other words, so you just go straight across. We're going to start at the beginning. We're going to start on the western side of the United States, in my neck of the woods, Tillamook.
In the northwest coast.
Northwest coast, which is right below the Columbia River. Tillamook is associated, or another word for Nehalem, from the Clatsop Nehalem. Tillamook is the Nehalem of Oregon. And what are their numbers? 45 degrees is their latitude, 17 minutes, 19 seconds north. And what is the longitude? 123 degrees, 50 minutes, and 33 minutes west. Well, you take this 123.5 and you make it 124.50 and you divide it by 2. Why? Because it gives you 62.25. What's important about 60.25? Now you go to the other side of the country to a place called Picatu Island. Hi, David, out there in Micmac, because Picatu Island is in Micmac territory where David's from. That's why I needed to be in always contact with David, because when he gets done with what I'm going to show him, he'll know why I need him to be a part of this equation for what I'm doing. Picatu Island is in Nova Scotia. Remember that 124.50 divided by 2, 62.25? 62.25. There's that 62.25. The counterpart to Tillamook on the west coast at 45.50 degrees is the Pictou Island in Nova Scotia, which is at 45 degrees, 48 minutes, 50 seconds north, 62 degrees, 33 minutes, 25 minutes west. Or 62.25 times 2 equals 124.50. What's that? That's the same number that I just showed you over here. So that's how they're counterparts to each other, except one's on the west coast and one's on the east coast. What are their purposes? It's really simple. From 45 degrees, we control the entire trade to every country on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, and to Polynesia, to Australia, and to New Zealand, to Papua New Guinea, to all the way to all those places on the other side, Japan and all of that. They had originated from 45 degrees in Tillamook. You could reach every location from this one latitude, no matter where it was on the other side.
There's another map that shows that what all those places you just indicated, Hokkaido, Japan, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it goes to the Jamon and Hokkaido, and it goes even all the way to the very mainland of Japan itself. But that's, part of this connection to the Pacific side. Its counterpart is the Micmac. Pay attention, Micmac. We need you as much as I need my own Clatsop Nehalem people for the Tillamook side of this thing. Why? You're the eastern counterpart to what we are on the west coast. On the east coast, the Micmacs from 45 degrees, which is the same as the latitude as Tillamook, they controlled all of the trade all the way into Greenland, Iceland, all the way into Europe, and all the way into Africa, and all the way to a place called Merka, Somalia, which is called the land of Punt in the white man's language, and they're still looking for it. Good luck. I told them right exactly where it is, but they won't believe me anyway. But anyway, the Picatu Island is the counterpart to us in Tillamook because they control all the trade going into everything on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean from 45 degrees like us over here. So when we wanted to do trade to go to the other side of the world from Tillamook, we had to go down from 45.50, which is this thing we're showing you here. Then you do that 3.25 where you minus it, 42.25 latitude, 39 degrees latitude, 37.37 latitude, 35.75 latitude, 32.50 latitude, 30 degrees, 0.875 latitude, 29.25 latitude, and down to 2600 0 latitude. And what is that? Abaco Island in the Bahamas, 26 degrees, 26 degrees. When you go this way from Abaco Island, it takes you to Copan, which is in Mexico at 14 degrees latitude, 89 degrees longitude. From Abaco Islands, it goes to Copan, which is this direction. But basically, it's going from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the Bahamas in the Atlantic Ocean. Numbers mean nothing when I showed the numbers. I just wanted to show the sequence from minus 325 takes that, minus 325 is 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 that, to minus 325 is that, to the Abaco Island in the Bahamas.
And 3.25 is
pi. The real pi, not the made up one they're using today.
because you can use it to map the globe.
Well, I'm just showing you right now. Now I'm going to show you how I use 3 to 5 to map the globe. Come here a little closer. Now those same numbers that at 45.50, 42.25 are here, 39 is here, 37 is there, 35 is here, 32 is there, no, not here. But now I'm going to show you how, I haven't made the locations here yet, which I will eventually. But I think it's more important that you see this one, because this right here connects Micmac to the woodland Indians, to the Great Lake Indians, to the Plains Indians, to the Southwest, all the way into California, and this one goes all the way to the Pacific Ocean from the Atlantic Ocean. In other words, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Now
Wow.
I'm going to use that 3.25 from 45 minus. 45.50 is Picatu Island. Minus 3.25 gives you 42.25. What is that 42.25? American Stonehenge, which are still arguing that they think that somebody came from the other side of the world and created it. No, they didn't. It's Native American made because it's part of this trade network. It was to mark this trade network. The American Stonehenge. Where's it located? New Hampshire. It's legit. You could quit arguing about it, that, you know, that farmers made it and settlers created it, because they didn't. If they did, they were part of our trade network, and they weren't. And they had no knowledge of this trade network. Only we do. Only we knew that American Stonehenge is connected to Serpent Mound, which everybody is familiar with in Ohio. This place is famous. But if it wasn't that famous and all of that, then why is it connected directly to American Stonehenge? That's why I know it's legit. Serpent Mound's legit by your standards. Why not American Stonehenge? It's directly connected by trade.
Right. It's the colonial and Christian agenda that is preventing it
Yeah.
from being academically recognized. It's academic discrimination.
Not only that, they still want to say that the Europeans discovered Americans by sending stupid Irish here, sending all these people from Europe here, saying they discovered the place first. When in reality, we discovered their asses thousands and thousands of years ago. They need to cut that out. I mean, well, anyway, back before I get on a rant. We're at a famous place called Serpent Mound. So that minus 3.25 takes you to 39.00. Serpent Mound, Ohio. Serpent Mound, Ohio, it takes you to 37.375 to the Kansas-Oklahoma border. I can't remember, there's a river that's near there, but there's a mound or a pyramid that's located on that border. And I believe they just located it just recently on an archaeological magazine that it was discovered in Kansas and near the Oklahoma border. But that marks the 37.375 area. Then you minus 3.35, where does it take you? 35.75. Pay attention, students here in Albuquerque, because at 35.75 latitude, it's the Petroglyph National Monument. And where is that located? Albuquerque, New Mexico. Our backyard.
X marks the spot.
And
so
what's in the middle?
Albuquerque has always been the center.
And what's at the very center? The Sandia Mountain between all of this. You minus 325 from the Petroglyph National Monument here in Albuquerque, 32.50. What is that there? The Blythe intaglios, which is that human form, and with the animal forms that are in geoglyphs that were found along the Colorado River in Blythe, California, I believe. That's why it's the Blythe intaglios. So all of these locations mark these 3.25 locations all the way down to the Pacific Ocean. Down this area is San Diego and all of that down here, and where you're getting down to Baja, California. So from Picatu Island, it connects not only the woodland tribes and the Great Lakes and all of that, it connects the Atlantic Ocean to the Southern Pacific Ocean. Tillamook connects the Northern Pacific Ocean to the Southern Atlantic Ocean. There's one more other trade route which is marked on here. There's two, I should say, more than anything. There's two, and those are the ones that are marked on here, and those are the ones that go directly from east to west, which would be set up with these same squares. And then there's another one I didn't mark yet, which is from north to south, which you would mark with those 3.25 squares, which would go down up north and down south. And you would have the whole complete layout of how the ancients laid out the trade with their 3.25 long distance calculating. These four squares, when I put them on these sheets, represents 3.25. When I do a one square, it represents one longitude line, and it represents one latitude line. One longitude line, one latitude
So
line.
that's why your text is red or blue, because you're indicating either latitude or longitude.
You know what this it represents? 3 1/4 longitude or latitude line, just one square. That's why it's long distance calculating. So you could do 3 1/4 longitudes with one square. You don't have to waste little squares, and you could do a 4 square. This is how the ancients mapped it out, because it was an easier way to do it. This is for long distance travel, for long distance trade, when you're just going down to the areas from the Atlantic to Pacific, and you just want to hit the main trade areas. You go here, you go there, you go here, you go there, you go here, you go there, you go there, and you're done. And if you want to get serious about the trade, you go to these little squares which make the smaller trade networks that gives the latitudes and longitudes of every trade location on each one of these, in other words. So this is more like fine detail trade or short distance trading.
And so here you ran out of space, so you ended there, so you picked it up there and continued marking your degrees, latitude, and longitude by 1.
The reason why it's in two sections is because it's really mainly represents a straight alignment or a straight line, but the sheets don't go that long, so I have to make 2 lines. So if you see the second one down here, that's just a continuation of here going that way.
Okay. So these 2 lines are actually really 1.
One line, it's one alignment.
As you go from here to here, and
or
then
you
you
see
pick
me
up
with 3
over
or
there.
4 of them on it, it's still one straight line or alignment. It's just that I ran out of paper to do it, so I have to show it this way.
Right.
That's the only way I can represent. But this is for the local small-scale trade routes that come from the local trade routes. This one's set up for global trading. This can also be applied for global mapping trading too, because I have another map that's set up for the entire world that's set up in 3.25.
So Tillamook, which is here
in Oregon,
on this map over by Nan Madal, would actually be going off that way.
Well, remember, Nan Madal isn't connected totally to Tillamook.
Oh, it's connected to the Polynesian Islands. So
no.
it's Hawaii.
Keep throwing everybody off.
Sorry.
It's connected to Cape Mendocino, California, but you
Oh,
can go
that's
up
right.
the coast to Tillamook.
Okay.
In other words, you go down Tillamook, you go down to Cape Mendocino, and then you go across to Namadol.
Okay.
So you like see Tillamook, and you hit that square, then you follow these squares, and let's see Namadol's right there. Then you follow it out, then you go out to the ocean, and Namadol will be there from Tillamook. But you got to go down the coast a little bit from Tillamook to get to Cape Mendocino to make it happen. But like I showed them, navigating the globe indigenous style, once you get to Cape Mendocino, it takes you to Namadol. And what does Namadol use? It uses this same technique.
Same
6.50,
thing.
9.75,
And
1300.
that's where all this is.
Yeah, no, this is the short scale when you're throwing them off again. I'm talking about the 3.25.
Ah, okay.
Don't throw them off. That's short distance.
Okay. Well, it's up, you know.
Throw them a curve, Connie. Just throw more curves. No, these are the 3.25. That's the 6.50 for Namadol, the 1300 for Angkor Wat, the 19.50 for Mumbai, India. It's made out in the same four square segments all the way up to the Azores Islands. This is just on the land of the Americas. The other ones, across through the Mediterranean.
Hmm.
I prefer my mapping to do it with the 3.25 because this is what the ancients used for global mapping. Because it's easier to find global locations for me using the 3.25 on places. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. This is important too, because this gives you every latitude, every longitude, every latitude, every longitude. I'm just going to show you 4. That's a trade location in between. That's a trade location in between. That's a trade location that's between the 2 squares. That's a trade location between 2 squares. That's a trade location between squares. And I only did 2 squares. Look.
And there's a lot of petroglyphs and pictographs that are pointers that tell you where to go.
Not only that, there's a thing called, what they call dolmens in southern Korea, northern Korea, that mark these same locations, and also the ones that are in Haikido in Japan are marked with the same things, as well as stone circles. And a lot of the things are marked by these dolmens and stone circles that nobody's aware of, that my people created them with the local people there. Why? So they could mark the winter solstice. Why did they need to mark the winter solstice? Because that's when we traveled globally, because there's less hurricanes and cyclones in the Atlantic Pacific Ocean, so we could do trade with them. And we only came through on the winter solstice. So anytime the winter solstice came around, they knew we were going to be doing trade, and they'd be ready and prepared for us when we arrived, and they'd have all their trade goods ready, and all we had to do was this: buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And why do they know? Because it's always every winter solstice, not summer solstice. Tornadoes, cyclones, and hurricanes will take you out. That's the most worst time to travel the oceans. You die. That's why winter solstice is so important. That's why you find solstice markers on every ancient location. That has to do with summer equinoxes and the winter solstice as summer as well. Why? Because they were marking the time when it was a timetable when we came in to trade. Summer solstice was set up for the local trade. Winter solstice was set up for global trade. That was the only difference.
Mm.
Why? Because when you did local trade, you didn't have to go into the ocean to